The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Thursday, the 11th day of January 2024. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, and the People's Pharmacy. I'm Jamal Hartman, and Maya Palacio will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in, she's going to bring us what's trending first before we get into it. But what a night, right? What an evening in Bermuda. What a night. A lot of people across social media and the island in particular in very emotional states. And then there was comedy. And I just want to say, Bermudians, you are a unique bunch. You turn a tragedy into victory, and victory into some sort of satisfaction. On top of that, you turn it into comedy on the other side, which was very interesting. But we'll get it. We'll talk about that today. But greetings, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome former Bermuda International and current Rhode Island FC general manager and coach, head coach, Khanos Smith on the show. The Daily Play is a name that plays today. So as you know, I don't have a co-host today either. So you all, if you get the answer right, like Nicole Hassel yesterday and Leslie White the day before, you're going to draw for Friday. And whoever of the four people name is picked out will win this week's prize. All right. So do your studying on your geography and your locations by the time we get to the end of the show. Please don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right. It is, Suzanne Ingham says, happy Thursday. Have an awesome day. And she says, we are definitely a special bunch of people. Well, let's bring Maya in to see what's trending. And then we'll get into today's conversation. Morning, MP.
Morning.
How are you?
You know what? It's been an interesting evening. I have a lot of mixed feelings, but I think on the majority side, I feel good.
All right. Well, what you got? What's trending? What people talking about?
Well, good morning, everyone. Here's what's trending in the news this morning. So first off, Kamal Worrell has been found guilty of murdering Chevelle Dylan Burgess. That's head of the news this morning. Bermuda Digest of Statistics for 2023 has been released. There was a lot of stats going on right there across the island for the last year. And the legacy of Marco Warren has been honored during a heartwarming memorial service and ceremony at Flagler College.
Okay. Thank you for that. So we're going to talk about the conviction of Kamal Worrell this morning. So thank you, and we'll see you in a few, Maya.
See you in a few.
All right. So question of the morning, obviously, again, everyone that was tuned in last night seemed to have an opinion, even prior to the verdict being shared. But the question of the morning is very simple to the public. What can we learn from the verdict in the Kamal Worrell case? What can we learn? What are some takeaways in this case? What can we learn? You know, I know there are people who are saying, oh, how'd they convict him without evidence? Folks, my response to that is, if it's one thing I learned from being before the courts, and this is not for any criminal thing, when we were doing conscription, when we were fighting to end conscription through the courts, is what you see in the newspaper or hear on the news is a fraction of what's discussed in the court. A fraction. So I want to say anyone who's saying that they're, how they convict them, where was the evidence? Unless you were in court every day of that case, you probably only have what's been shared via the news. That's one. Number two, there are so many cases that I've questioned people's innocence or not guiltiness, but also their guilt. But again, my opinion is based on what I've read in the news because I have not been in the courtroom. And I've asked myself, how is this person found guilty based on this? But I think we all have to remember something. We all have to remember one thing. In a jury case, anything can happen. These are human beings. I don't know who the juries are or was in this particular case. But if 9 of the 3 felt he was guilty, that's not 1 or 2. That was 9 of the 12. Sorry, 9 to 3, 9 of the 12. Then you know what? Something that they saw, they agreed on to say this man's guilty. What can we learn from this case, though? I think, I don't know his title, but I'm going to say Chief Inspector Jason Smith. He said at the end, he said that, he hopes that, this encourages or inspires other women in these kind of relationships to come forward. What can we learn? Let's hope that Mr. Worrell, who has been found guilty, now feels comfortable enough to say what happened or where Miss Dylan Burgess is. Let's hope for that. What are your thoughts? What do you think? What can we learn from the verdict in the Kamau Worrell case? Suzanne Ingham questions, how could she disappear during a lockdown? What can we learn, folks? What are your thoughts? What is the biggest takeaway from this case? Is it that no matter how smart you think you are, you still have to answer to your peers? Again, this was probably Bermuda's most, and in comparison, this was like a Bermuda's O.J. Simpson case. It was high profile. Everyone had an interest in it. What are the lessons in this? As a community, what are the lessons in this case? Before you answer that, yes or no in the audience? Yes or no? Are you happy with the verdict? Yes or no? Answer that question. Yes or no? Are you happy with the verdict? Because I did see some on social media who were not happy with the verdict. Are you happy with the verdict? Yes or no? Are you happy with the verdict? Let us know in the audience. Are you happy with the verdict? Yes or no? We've got on Instagram, one day Instagram, we'll get you over here on the main screen. We'll get you over here on the main screen. But on Instagram, we've got, I'm sorry, guys. Let me, Instagram, you guys are, you're tough, man. You're tough. Hold on. We've got, how do I scroll? Kathy PXO says yes. TK Cheeseman says mixed. That's how she feels about the verdict. Mixed. Sam Cat Place. Are you happy with the verdict? She says yes. Suzanne Ingham, are you happy with the verdict? She says yes. Attorney Bridgewater, she says yes, she's happy with the verdict. Shanna Smith says, I'm not sure I would say I'm happy. There are no winners here. Yeah. I think what's been forgotten in all of this is there's a young child who now will grow up without his mother and without his father. This to me is something that is so sad that I think we ask ourselves about the verdict. And we have questions. Well, who now takes care of this young boy? How will he be impacted by this as he grows older? I know there was a lot of interest in ensuring that Chevelle Dillon Burgess received justice. Are we as a community going to show that same interest in ensuring that this young boy has what he needs as he grows older? What are some lessons? What can we learn from the verdict in this case? What can we learn? Are we, if we know something, if we have friends that are in abusive relationships, do we become more vocal? Do we use this as an example to get out? Or do we mind our business? Because they say, oh, that will never happen to me. Polly.Rich says, with the little I have read in the news, yes, I'm happy with the verdict. Sherilyn Johnson says, yes, happy with the verdict. Suzanne Ingham says, when an abuse case is reported, whether it is dropped or not, needs to be watched very closely, even more so when children are involved. Renee Simmons says, that's the saddest truth. The child. It's very sad. It's very sad. I don't want to give advice. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a therapist. But I think there are so many takeaways from this. There's so many takeaways. One is we need to be, as a community, we need not mind our own business. When we see our friends and family in abusive relationships, we need to ensure that we're supporting people in a manner that it won't lead to this. It's very sad. And as everyone was either celebrating or questioning the verdict last night, all I'm thinking about is that young boy. That young boy. Suzanne Ingham says, it's always the children that suffer. Helping them should be our top priority. Should be our top priority, she says. What are your thoughts, though, audience? Well, what can we learn from the verdict in the Kamau World case? Now, again, there were people who were saying, on what evidence was he convicted? There are people who don't believe that the evidence was shown. Again, if you were not in the court every day, you probably don't know what was shared. If you were not in court every day, then you likely have no idea what information or evidence was shared. You cannot compile hours and hours of legal arguments into a half a page of a news story or into 2 minutes of a news story. You can't. So what do? They take some highlights every day and they share it with the public. So I know some people feel, oh, there's no evidence. The jury felt there was enough evidence to convict. They did. And here we are with a guilty verdict. Now, real quickly, on a shift. Jason Smith, the police officer, I believe his chief inspector, correct me if I'm wrong. I want to just go back to what he said, encouraging. I know you all was focused on the paint or beard or whatever he had. We'll talk about that in a minute. But he wanted to encourage people to speak up, come forward. Imagine the toll it may have taken on the police and himself, but he said something that it was a collaborative effort between police, prosecutions, and at the end, he said the community. The community. And I hope that each and every one of us understands the role that we play in supporting and helping people. My hope is that we do it before it ends up in a space like this. That's my hope. I really hope that we can do it where there's not another Chevelle Dylan Burgess. I really hope that we can get there. So, audience, what are your thoughts? Any comments from you before we bring Maya in for the Daily Hour news break? Any comments from you? What can we learn from the verdict in the Kamal World case? What are your thoughts? What do you think are the takeaways for the community? What are the community takeaways? What are the things that stand out to you? I'm going to be honest with you. I did not personally. I didn't think it was going to be a guilty verdict. The murder case, I didn't. But I'm only basing it, not saying that he's not guilty. Let me be clear. I didn't think it was going to be guilty only based on what I saw in the news. However, I always felt that a jury of his peers would probably convict him based on a few things that stood out to me. Traveling Trotty says, thank you to the jury, which had to hear this case for 3 months. 3-month case, folks. 3 months. Think about it. There are people who probably read about 4 or 5 news stories of it saying, where's the evidence? A jury sat around for 3 months, taking it all in. 3 months, that's like a semester worth of information. Used in school terms. That's a semester worth of information. Let's bring Maya Palacio in for the Daily Hour news break. And, well, actually, before she comes in for the news break, I just want to give a shout out to Jason Smith, the chief inspector. Again, if I'm getting his title wrong, my apologies. But Smithy, this is every man's Jack right here. Right? There's some beard oil, there's some McComb. So I'm gonna just show you. Ain't no paint. I'm gonna oil it up for you. Oil it up. All right. Oil my beard up. Then McComb for you. All right. McComb. That's how it was done, brother. That's how it was done. Now, I'm not trying to say that you had something painted on or not in all the rumors and people out there, but one thing I want to give you a compliment on, Mr. Smith. A compliment. At least you're not gray like that fellow who was looking at you crazy on the side. His initials are GM. Looking old and gray. Let's bring Maya Palacio in for the Daily Hour news break. Brought to you by People's Pharmacy.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hey, Maya, how's my beard looking?
Jamal, it's looking good. It's looking good.
Doesn't look painted on, does it?
It never has.
Okay. Just making sure.
And you were correct. It is Detective Inspector Jason Smith.
Oh, I think I said Chief Inspector. My apologies.
Okay.
Yeah. So look, let's get serious. It's a very serious case. What are the lessons in this, though, Maya? What can we learn from this verdict in the Kamau World case?
I don't necessarily think I have an opinion on what can we learn, but I can definitely say the consistency from the community, from her family, and from the police as well, just led us to this moment. I know that there are probably a lot of other families just thinking about their own cases, and so in hindsight, this was a very public, very much aware of case around the community and the island that took precedent, and people were very much highly focused on it. So I think that's something that we could probably take away. It's just the consistency of it, the call for it. Myself included, early stages of pandemic, asking that question. We only allowed 4 questions. I was sure to ask that question every single time. Was to update on Cheval Dillon Burgess, was to update on Cheval Dillon Burgess every time. So the consistency of continuing to question these things and keeping their names alive, in order to get the verdict that we have today.
Indeed. As I said, I think the community, we know when to show up. We just need to do it a bit more often.
Yeah.
So what you got for us today?
Well, good morning, everyone. This is your Daily Hour Newsway brought to you by People's Pharmacy. So starting out with the news this morning, exactly what we were talking about. Kamau Wall has been found guilty of murdering Cheval Dillon Burgess. In the Gazette, it reads that as the guilty verdict was read, Wall lowered his head in the dock. The courtroom, which included family members of his victim, remained silent. The Supreme Court jury also found Wall guilty of 7 charges of common assault, 6 by unanimous decision and 1 by majority. This has been a nearly 4-year case, as Cheval Dillon Burgess was reported missing in April of 2020, and later charges moved to a murder investigation. Now, moreover, in that news, Darren Simons, the Commissioner of Police, also commends the successful prosecution in a difficult domestic murder case, which made history due to the absence of the victim's body. Commissioner Simons welcomes the court's verdict and believes that it will bring some measure of closure for the victim's family, despite the unsettling fact that, again, her body still has not been found. Mr. Simons stated, quote, "This case has been a particularly challenging one for law enforcement. I wish to acknowledge the dedication and hard work of the Director of Public Prosecution, as well as the detectives involved in all aspects of the search, investigation, and trial. The case began as a missing person report, and subsequently investigations led to a murder inquiry. Despite the absence of her body, again, the investigation," he says, "never wavered." Now, according to Mr. Simons, the Bermuda Police Service is grateful for the support and reassurance provided by former Commissioner Stephen Corbishley, whose continued engagement and commitment was instrumental in pursuing this important case, he reads. And furthermore, it sends clarity and warning to those engaging in violence, particularly against vulnerable persons, that we will tenaciously pursue those responsible.
Yeah, credit to the Bermuda Police. Credit to them. And Maya, I didn't even realize till you said it just now, almost 4 years. It's 2024.
Yeah.
Almost 4 years.
It's been a very long journey, especially for this family. And I can only say how many people probably read the news last night, and it definitely is still top of line conversation this morning. And I feel like it will continue to be, because it is quite, like he said, the commissioner and yourself, Jamal, it's historic.
Yeah.
It's a huge gravity to this situation.
And something I didn't touch on earlier is, and I watch a lot of Dateline in 2020. Those are just the shows that I enjoy to watch, trying to figure stuff out, right? I always want to figure out what happens in this case.
Mm-hmm.
Folks, there are a lot of cases where there's a verdict, guilty verdict, without a body, without a weapon. You can prove things without reasonable doubt without a body in it. It happens. And I just hope people grow beyond the space they live in to understand that it's not impossible to prove.
It is definitely new in Bermuda's case, but
correct.
It's like Detective Jason Smith said, hopefully this allows people to feel more confident in coming forward. But yeah. Well, in other news, we're talking statistics some more, because the Ministry of Economy and Labor released the Bermuda Digest statistics, which is pretty amazing if I do say so, because you get to actually see like what's going on in the community and you get a more of a thought process for yourself. So let's look at some of the stats that were put out in this report. The first one I got up for you guys is the government and private school enrollment from 2013 to 2020. Now, we already know this. We have seen it drop so consistently throughout the years when it came to government enrollment, but we also noticed that there's been a steady-ish type of flow for private schools. So that's one to look at there, not statistic for you guys in the books. And also, again, we talk about the birth and death rates, 2013 to 2022. Huge spike in deaths during the pandemic, as you can see there. Still more deaths than births it has been as well consistently. So that's something to also measure. And then marriages and divorces. We had this conversation before. I put a story up on the show about like how important is marriage for, you know, ourselves. And a lot of people wavered around the 4, 3, and 7 remarks. But as you can see there, marriages have actually taken an uptick since 2020, and divorces have been kind of steady around the same margins. Moving on to primary school enrollment, and stop me if you wish, Jarrell, for this one, but we can see a huge decline here. I mean, look at that. What do you think about this?
I wonder where their students are going. Like, you can't just tell me it's due to birth rate. Like, are people sending their children to boarding schools? Because a lot of people I know have their children in boarding schools and private schools. So, and then there are people who have moved to the UK. But I'd like more information from the government as to, you know, what the research tells them where these students are.
There's a huge spike when it comes to middle school as the drop off, and then they come back in like around senior school as well. So I feel like during that middle school years is when either people relocate or change the decisions, go to private school for a bit, and then possibly come back to public school after. So that seems to be some of the movement there. Another one here, the Bermuda College enrollment. It did take a bit of a spike up from 2016, but it's slowly going down again. And again, that just accumulates to our population numbers as well. And the last one I have here for you guys would be the percentage of imported goods by type of commodity group. So food, beverage, and tobacco stays up there as the highest percentage of goods that we bring into the island. Going all the way down at the very last one is actually clothing. So interesting to see what, you know, Bermuda's Love may even have to say on that as they do the Wear and Share campaign this month.
Hold up, tobacco? Is that high?
Mixed in with food and beverage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I said that too. Same reason. I was like, didn't think that was still like a booming industry, but it's something to look into as well.
I wonder what tobacco would be on its own.
There's a ton of statistics as well. If anyone wants to go in and look at it themselves, they can find it on gov.bm/regular-digest-statistics. But it also shows like, you know, STIs, STDs, different types of, you know, health concerns, and moreover in, you know, when it comes to importing goods as well, different things on that scale and measurement. So if you want to look at it, see what the sticks are in Bermuda, you could definitely go there and check it out.
I'd like to know the cancer rates in Bermuda as well. So hopefully they have that.
They did have that, and I can bring that up on Monday's news break.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. All right, so in other news, a food chain's West End location was burglarized the other morning. The owner of the franchise said this and went to his own social media, took to it. That was Mr. Thomas, whose Food Hub restaurant in Paget was actually robbed last month, and took to, you know, his own platform to share his concerns about it. He's the owner, and he had another establishment, I think it was in the West End, that got burglarized. So he said, this situation is disturbing. Robbery at any time by anyone is unpleasant. To have 3 persons all in dark clothing with heavy tools visit you at 4 a.m. could be terrifying. Is this a sign of the season, a sign of hard times, or is it something else? Pre and post Christmas financial stress occurs every year, and yes, substantial drug seizures have been made, but unemployment numbers are reported to be down and down substantially. And I am aware of employees who say they cannot find people to work, even in unskilled jobs. So he closes off by saying that it probably goes without saying that we do not appreciate the cost of damage repairs, and it is not a matter of insurance coverage. Beyond the cost of it is aggravation and distraction. Beyond the distraction, it is negative social and consumer impact. We should not get to the point of having to place bars on doors and windows in colonial themed St. George's. This would be charming. Of course, Bermuda, this is not. What's the alternative? I don't know.
I don't know, man. I know people are struggling, but taking from others, I don't know. That's not helping anybody.
Yeah, but definitely in a different time, Bermuda. Like, going back home and seeing the bars on my local gas station doors, like, actually broke my heart a bit. I was like, wow, we've really come to a different place. This is not the Bermuda that I grew up in. So it's sad. It is.
Yeah.
In other news, hopefully this lightens the spirit. It also still is quite sombering, but the legacy of Marco Warren has been honored during a heartwarming memorial ceremony at Flagler College. Warren's family, former teammates, coaches, and school staff gathered for the occasion in Florida with loving tributes made to Warren, whose loved ones was presented with his number 23 jersey in frame. So there's a picture there.
Nice. I like that. I love that. That's touching.
It is very nice to know that, again, consistency, keeping his name alive, and, being there for his family as a community. Now, in your weather report this morning, you got sunny breaks developed after some early drizzle and patchy mist. Bit of winds, but not as bad as the other days with some gale forces. And we got a high of 70 degrees Fahrenheit for today.
All right. Well, before we do the days of the year, Maya, I have a joke for you.
Great.
I have a joke. Whatever. All right, here we go. Knock, knock.
Who's there, Jamal?
A broken pencil.
A broken pencil. Who?
Never mind. It's pointless. Get it? Like,
okay, I actually like that one. I'll give it to you.
Oh, shuck. Audience, give it to us. Give it to us. That was hilarious. You all know that one was funny. That was funny. Oh boy, all right, stand up routine. Get back serious. So it's days of the year, Maya. Days of the year. So it's International Parody Day, Maya. Parody. So it's meant to bring attention to this continuing issue as employers and governments work towards leveling the playing field and bringing about social change and fairness in the workplace. So, for years, you just heard Taraji P. Henson speaking about not getting paid, just like what she should be getting paid versus others, right? So I think this is important. And all I'm going to say is if you think you're being underpaid, it's not going to change unless we have the courage to change it together. So that's today. Maya, I think I finally made everyone laugh.
Yeah, I told you, I am the print level of what is actually funny, Jamal. So if I don't laugh, ain't no one laughing.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think if I make Maya laugh, everybody else is going to laugh. They found that fun. You all?
Because I'm honest with you.
Yeah, you're too honest here. Folks, I promise you. I'm going to audition soon. All right? Maya, we'll see you very soon.
I'll see you soon. You too.
All right, folks. Don't go anywhere. We've got former Bermuda International and current general manager and coach of Rhode Island FC, Khanos Smith, coming up. We love celebrating Bermudians in these spaces, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back with Khano. Stick with us.
People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHB staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW, we're here for you.
Take a look at our workwear for construction workers and tradesmen. Durable, stretchable in all the right places and plenty of options for tools and accessories. Paired with our wide range of tough and comfortable footwear, you can't go wrong. As you can see, Medical House really is a one-stop shop for everybody. We can't wait to see you.
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. I'm Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. Folks, please do not forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Without further ado, let's bring in our guest for the day. We've got former Bermuda International and professional player. He's now the general manager and head coach of Rhode Island FC in the USL, the United Soccer Championship. So let's welcome, give a warm TDH welcome to Khanos Smith. Greetings, good brother. Greetings.
Good morning. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Firstly, I want to ask you something before we jump into convo. Did you once play for North Village when you were young too?
I did. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
For 2 years. For 2 years.
He
Yeah.
bought his skills up down the park from St. John's. I'm like, all the years we've been talking, I'm like, I swear Khano went to North Village for a couple of years. But look, man, first of all, welcome. I don't think we've said it to you on this show because the prior time you had come on, you were assistant coach down in Birmingham. But congratulations. And just let us know, Khano, like, speak to us about your journey from St. John's Road to the professional level as a player, now a coach and general manager, right? I mean, you were playing for Dandytown. What did you want out of football when you were out St. John's Road? What was your overall goal?
Yeah, good question. I think, initially, my time at Dandytown from a young player, young person, I think it provided me with the passion and the want to be a professional. And I think the moment for me that I really decided in my head to be a professional is when we had a U17 tournament in Bermuda and Glasgow Rangers came. And so you saw some of those guys and whatever, they was 14, 15, 16, whatever age they were. And I saw how they acted and how they behaved. And we all actually stayed at the Bermuda Regiment Army Barracks together. So we had like 4 teams. I think it was a team from Canada, one from the US, Glasgow Rangers and us. So we obviously all became friends, were intermingling with each other. It was a really good experience, but I just saw how those guys acted and operated. And I'm like, yeah, that's a bit me right there. I want to be that. So then, yeah, that's kind of just led me to this journey here. And it was always something that I wanted to do was to be a professional. And now, being a coach and general manager it's not as good as being a player. Being a player is the best job in the world. And I said that to one of our players the other day. So I'm like, enjoy it because it doesn't last forever. But this is the next best thing.
Well, go a bit deeper with us. Like, how does it feel to finally be able to lead your own team as GM and head coach? This is, for those who don't know, you, upon retirement, you did coach at doing the Revolution with some of their youth teams. You have been an assistant coach with Birmingham for some years, but now you finally got the chance to lead your own team. How does that feel? Yeah,
it's a good feeling because obviously, the group here has trusted me with a lot and gave me the freedom and framework to be successful. So it's certainly a big job and but it's exciting. I get to lead my own team, like as you said. And I think what's different from being a head coach and an assistant that everybody's coming to you for answers. So sometimes you don't always have the answers and that's okay. But at least I need to know where to be able to go to find them. So it's a bit challenging, but anything that's good is you have to fight for it. So no, I'm taking the challenge head on.
Folks, audience, if you have any questions or comments for Khano, please send them through. We'll get through as many questions and comments as possible. Let's speak about lessons. What are some lessons you learned from being a professional player that you can now utilize as a professional coach?
Yeah, I think the most important is things are never going to be always going in the direction that you think you want them to go or should go. There's always going to be peaks and valleys and ups and downs. And that's okay. That's life in general, right? So you gotta fight through that stuff and you gotta push through it. And most importantly, I think as a teammate now, looking back as a coach is what a teammate should be. You should always be a good teammate and be there to support your teammates, support your team. And if you have issues with coach or management, that's natural because every decision is not going to go your way. But being a good teammate and being a good person and a good player is that's the difficult part, is being a good person all the time. So that's what we're looking for in our players right now is good people, especially good players.
And as you gear up for the inaugural season for Rhode Island FC in the United Soccer Championship League, how important is preseason prep to your plans, and why did you decide to take the team to Bermuda as part of the preparation?
Yeah, it's really important, and obviously it's the first time our group is going to be together. We're a first year team and a first year club. So we're actually starting preseason like a week or two earlier than everybody else in our league, I think. So we start Monday, January 15th. So we essentially are having a 9-week preseason, which is very long, but that's due to us not playing the first weekend of the league, which is, we didn't know that at the time we decided to start preseason, but it didn't make sense to change. I think it's good for us. It just gives us an extra couple of weeks for the group to get together and blend. But yeah, it's a really important time. And then bringing the team to Bermuda, it actually just came up. I started having discussions with the BFA, and they've been really good partners with us on this and supporting us. We actually have a video call this afternoon to wrap up some small details, but they've been good partners, and it's an important time for us. We're definitely coming there to compete, and it's an important 5 days for us because it's probably like 2 weeks out before our season starts. So it's really important. Why we decided Bermuda, honestly, is just because those conversations started, and it's kind of like a full circle moment for me, because that's how I ended up with the New England Revolution in the first place, is then them coming to Bermuda on a preseason trip, and I played against them. So it's a full circle moment for me. Nice for my family and people that support me to be able to come and watch our team, and hopefully the rest of Bermuda do the same and come out and support whichever teams we end up playing while we're there. So I just think it's a good opportunity for us to provide high level football to Bermuda that doesn't see much professional teams grace the shore sometimes.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was going to say, like, I think that's how you got kind of discovered by New England Revolution, but I don't want to speak out of turn. But again, my hope is that whatever teams you are playing, these players show a level of professionalism that maybe they can be the next Khanos Smith and follow that path, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And at the end of the day, it was just a platform that was provided, and it was one that was provided to me that I saw, and I took advantage of it. So it's obviously going to be an opportunity for somebody there to prove themselves as well. So, obviously somebody can have a great game, and the tape's going to be there. It's not going to lie. So if that person's capable at performing at this level, it's always going to be interest, because we're always looking to get better.
Yeah. So many coaches, I mean, you said when you came on this show a couple of years ago, you spoke, there's so many people with talent, but, it's not just about talent, right? It's so much more to it. But many coaches, they don't just like the player because they're good, right? They have certain characteristics that they're looking for as they build, a team of players. What qualities do you look for in players as you build your team?
Yeah, I think, as I said before, definitely looking for good teammates and good people, players that are coachable and want to learn, have a desire to learn. People that probably think they have it all figured out probably won't survive in our environment. And I think that's staff and players included. You need to have a growth mindset. I think it's one, willing to grow and develop yourself as a human being and a person. And then also like a winning mindset as well, like it's who wants to lose? Like, why are you in sports? And for me, that I felt like that started from a very young age. And I think that's maybe what separated me from a lot of my peers in Bermuda. I don't think I was the most talented or most skilled with the ball, but I think the key characteristics you can see in Bermudian players that have left and gone on to have success outside of Bermuda, i.e. Nicky Wells, Sean Goddard, Kyle Lightbourne, Reggie Lamb, all these guys that have played in the past overseas, is that they've had that winning mentality and winning mindset. I think that's a key characteristic. So for me, those are probably the two biggest ones, growth mindset and the winning mindset.
Indeed. First season, not just for yourself as a GM and head coach, but for the team, for the club. What are your hopes in this first season in the league?
Yeah, I think ultimately, big picture, sports are entertainment to me, and hopefully we put on a product, and that's obviously with the front office people and the playing staff, with us as a coaching staff. I think providing a good product, and again, people want to see a team that wins and gets results and is exciting. So to provide an exciting environment, an exciting team that people in Rhode Island can be proud of, because it's their team. So it's not my team. It's not anybody else's team. Players and coaches come and go, but it's the people of Rhode Island's team. So the people have a team that they can get behind and push for, and it's the only professional sports team in the state right now. So, it's going to be high level competition. It's going to be a good team coming, good teams coming to play against us. Just hopefully we provide an experience for them that people will enjoy, they can get behind and want to come and support. So at the end of the day, will we win every match? No, but at least people feel and leave the stadium feeling that they were entertained and that was a team that gave everything for the people of their community.
Audience, if you have any questions or comments on any platform for Khano, please send them through. Like I said, we will get to the questions that are coming through and the comments. Look, there's a lot of young people. You were very honest saying that you probably were not the most talented, but it was a mindset thing that got you to where you were. I would always say, like, you definitely knew what you wanted to do, had your head set, and I thought you were talented. But anyway, I get your point. But what advice would you give to aspiring footballers, current footballers, and aspiring professional coaches based on your own experiences?
Yeah, I think it's just the work that you do when nobody's watching. Like, you can't cheat yourself. You can't cheat the game. Like, you have to put in the hard yards. You have to put in the work, and whatever that looks like for you. I think a lot of times us growing up in Bermuda, we don't know what that looks like because we don't have it close. We don't see it. We only see it on TV. High level football, professional football, Premier League, Championship. We don't see what's required to get there. So it's hard work. And as I said before, like, you can go across the globe. There's millions of players that have talent and can do certain things with a football. But what separates the best? The best is that what they're willing to do, what they're willing to sacrifice. Like, in sports, you have to sacrifice stuff. And I've sacrificed a lot of things. And, probably a lot of relationships and family stuff has suffered at times. But, you kind of have to go for what you want. And sometimes, yes, it is selfish. But, somebody else is out there doing the work and putting it in. So it's finding the balance, right? In professional sports, that's the biggest balance, is being able to do what's needed for you to be successful, but also finding those balances in family life and relationships. So obviously I've suffered because I haven't been in Bermuda really since the time I was 14. So a lot of relationships that I built in my early childhood, I haven't seen a lot of those people a lot. But I had to go for what I wanted, and what I wanted wasn't offered in Bermuda. So I had to leave.
It's interesting you say that. Dame Flora Duffy, last year, January, she spoke on exactly what Khano said just now, folks. She actually mentioned that being at this level, like, it almost reminds me of, and I'm not saying it's exactly like this, how people say Michael Jackson didn't have necessarily a childhood because he's outperforming. When you're a professional in professional spaces, you don't have the opportunity to hang out, cut match, and with your friends and your family, and literally go to all these family events. Like, you are contracted to be at these things. I mean, it is a personal sacrifice. And like Dan Flora, you were very honest about that. But again, it comes down to, what do you deem most important? What's most important to you, and what are you trying to achieve? Because at the end of the day, if the way these professional teams work in spaces, well, if you're not here, then someone else is training and preparing to be in this space if you're not there. So I completely understand the sacrifice, and I know it must be hard, but you have, both of you have the track record to show that your decisions were worked out for you, right? Let's go to the audience. We've got Mark Arthur C. Phillips. He's asking, Mr. Smith, is a general manager similar to being a technical director in European football?
Yeah, good question. And I would say yes. I think it's, at the end of the day, it's just a title. It can differ in one element or detail. But ultimately, I guess, you would say that person is the lead decision maker on the sporting side, right? So that's what my title, and the freedom of being able to make those decisions. I obviously have to run certain decisions by the board. So I just can't go and spend $1 billion on my own, but I would have to go and get some clearance to do that stuff. But for player sign-ins and technical staff sign-ins and all of those decisions is pretty much mine. And I certainly don't do it on my own. I have a group of people that I consult and that I trust their opinion, and we make those decisions together. But essentially, yeah, I guess you can call it like a chief soccer officer, a chief sporting officer that makes all the decisions on the sporting side.
All righty. Here's another question. Philip's asking, did you have did you have to set up a scouting network to scout new talent? I guess he's asking.
Yeah, another good question. Yeah, we did. I think once we started really getting into the weeds and scouting was maybe in July when I brought a couple of staff on board. We brought an assistant general manager, we brought a director of team operations, and we hired an assistant coach in July. And that's essentially what we were doing. We were scouting. We definitely tried to focus domestically because it's plenty of buckets of talent in the United States. You have obviously the youth ranks, you have the college ranks, and it's many different professional leagues now. Obviously, with our league, at our level, you have MLS above ours. You have USL League One, which is the second division of USL in below us, and then you have MLS Next Pro, which is like a U23 league with players. Now you have 2 to 3 years of professional experience. So we certainly try to focus there. And we did some scouting internationally. I went on a trip to Ireland and in England. So we came back from one of those trips with an attacking player from Ireland that's played about 6 years in the Irish Premier League. So, yeah, we certainly had to set up a scouting network. And at the end of the day, it never really closes because you're always looking to get better. But you have to find people that you trust and trust their opinion, and agents that you trust. So it was certainly an experience doing that and setting up a scouting network.
Yeah, I want to share a story since you're here. So, if you don't know, I was working when I moved to Florida with the Florida Panthers, the hockey team down here, the NHL hockey team. And I remember when after you were named GM and head coach, so first time I've heard of Rhode Island FC, I was on LinkedIn one day and saw that my former coordinator, she was my coordinator when I was working at Florida Panthers, had now been hired at Rhode Island FC. And it showed me how small the world is, right? How small the world is. I absolutely, it made me smile because for me, I'm smiling because I know two people who are a part of something new, something that I believe is going to be special. And the reason it's so special to me is, Khano, you know, an audience you may not know, but Rhode Island is like there are people who think that Rhode Island's my home more than Bermuda because of how connected I've been to Rhode Island. And you mentioned something earlier about this being the only professional team in Rhode Island because they had the Red Sox minor league. They moved to Worcester. For those of you who don't know, they were the Pawtucket Paw Sox. But what level of responsibility do you feel, being the only professional team now, what level of responsibility you feel to bring some sort of like happiness to them on a sporting level?
Yeah, I think that's ultimately, for me, like if we go back to the COVID times, and I remember watching Premier League games, and during that time, and for me, it just wasn't enjoyable. It wasn't what I signed up for as a fan watching English Premier League games, and it just wasn't an enjoyable experience. So to me, the community, the supporters, and the people that support the team are the most important, and you're there to provide something to them. Like ultimately, like it's their team. Like people are going to come and go from the business side, from the sporting side, and ultimately, I think I've said it multiple times to players and staff that we're trying to recruit to come here that the team needs to mirror the community, right? And obviously, you go around the world. The culture of Barcelona is different than it is in Manchester, and it's different than it is in Milan, and it's different as it is up in the road in Foxborough. It's different down here in Rhode Island. So what are Rhode Islanders like? People in Rhode Island it's the smallest state in the union. So right there, people have the chip on their shoulder. It's cold and people are angry sometimes. So can the team play like that with a chip on the shoulder and be angry and be aggressive and have grit when they need to? But also Rhode Island, per capita, has the most coastline in the United States. So it's beaches and world-class coastline all over. So can we have a beautiful team when the conditions are right as well? So can we play this beautiful flowing football when we need to? But I think the team needs to mirror the community, show fight, show grit, and also be attractive and fast-paced and flowing, entertaining, scoring goals when it's called for. And it's a nice, beautiful, sunny day in the summer.
Yeah. Hey, it's the most beautiful, the Ocean State, folks, the most beautiful state in the union, in my opinion. There was one question I said we're not going to ask you, but I told you, Khano, someone was going to ask me. I told you, audience, there are certain you just don't want to ask someone who's in a new position. But in changing that question, obviously your first, first time leading a team. The easy answer to this would be winning the championship. When you were playing, it was to get there. Now, some people may not know, Khano actually played in an MLS Championship game, right? Speak to us about the level to actually play in one, and then now having a chance to coach. What it took to get there as a player, and what are you instilling in your players to understand what to get there as a coach?
Yeah, I think ultimately, people talk about culture, right? And culture, what that's like. And I walked into a team in New England that had a culture of success already. So they made it to the semifinals the year before. And for me, I hate the word culture, if I'm being honest, because everybody uses it and everybody thinks that their culture is the best and our team's the best and our locker room's the best. For me, culture is simple. It's what behaviors are acceptable in the building and what's not acceptable. So at that point in time, our team was already in autopilot. Like when I showed up, the team was already in autopilot. They had been successful. They had players that were on the right trajectory to be successful. We had Clint Dempsey, Taylor Twellman, Shari Joseph, Steve Ralston, guys that were in the mid-20s and already tasted a little bit of success, and the team was just pushing to be successful. So honestly, the team already policed itself. Like the coaches didn't need to put any standards. If you're late for something, if you're not working hard, like before the coaches even got to you, your teammates did. And I think that's what really makes successful teams, is when set standards, and the standards are set, and certainly they're set by the leader and the coaching staff and the rest of the technical staff. But then you have to have people that have mindset in the building that are willing to enforce that. And that's when it's really enjoyable, when you have a team and a group of people that it doesn't even need to get to the leader. Somebody's late for the bus, late for a meeting, that your teammates on top of you. And they're not doing it to embarrass you. They're doing it because it's what's right and what's accountability looks like. So being accountable in a team and in a locker room, and the players are doing that, to me, that's like the most beautiful thing about being part of a team.
Indeed. Emily Gill says, congratulations, Mr. Smith. Renee Simmons says, well done, Khano. You have a strong mom, always supporting you. Khano, before you head out, when and where is the first game of your season?
So, yeah, the league actually starts March 9th. As I said before, that we actually have the first weekend off, which is strange, but it is what it is. I'm actually good with it, because that's just another week that we get to, quote unquote, hide ourselves from everybody else, and we get to watch everybody else go and play the first week. So our opponent is New Mexico United, a good franchise. It's been around for a few years now. So we play them, and we actually play them here in Rhode Island. So that would be March 16th. And it'll be here in our first year. We're playing at Bryant University. So it's a local university about 20 minutes away from downtown Providence. So obviously we're building a stadium, and it's being built. I drive past it every day. It's a $130 million building, which is going to be amazing when we open it up. So that will be in 2025. We will play our first game there, but obviously in 2024, we'll play our first match at Bryant University, March 16th. Sorry.
I hope to be present. I will say that, I always wondered when I used to go to watch you play at New England Revolution, I would be freezing. Couldn't even eat my chicken wings because it's freezing. One time, Larry Marshall Jr. and myself were there watching you. And I said, why would they want to play in this? He goes, Hartman, it's about the elements, right? A team coming from Florida, they ain't going to be used to this. So it's an advantage, right? But I can tell you I'm going to do my best to be at that first game to support you. And looking forward to supporting you in your position over the years. I'm excited to see that you've finally gotten a chance to lead a team, Khano. And my hope is that our community gets out and to the games when you bring your team to Bermuda, and just keep us abreast, keep us, informed as to your journey. And like I said, thank you. Traveling Trotty says, thank you for the insightful conversation about a football mindset. Wishing you all the best as GM and head coach. And she said, this is a good question because I want to come to that game. How about getting tickets to Rhode Island FA games? How can we purchase tickets to the games? Yeah, so on the website, they obviously have they will just have a tickets
ticket sales link. So certainly we can get all the information there. So it's RhodeIslandFC.com. Pretty easy. I haven't actually brought this up with the front office, but I probably should. So have maybe a discount code or something for people from Bermuda. Maybe you have to show some proof of ID that you are Bermudian, because you don't want others taking advantage of I guess will be my discount. But yeah, that will be something that we can bring up. And I know, Bermudians, we support each other all the time. So I certainly expect to see some flags in the stands. And I obviously know I have some family members coming March 16th. And Jamal, you're always welcome. So you just let me know when you're coming, and we will take care of you.
Appreciate you, good brother. And honestly, Khano, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. And we'll be in touch. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, folks. Khanos Smith, general manager and head coach of Rhode Island FC. Folks, if you appreciated that conversation, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Audience, I'm going to travel and try to ask a good question. Who wants to rock with me to that first game? Who wants to roll with me to that new game? Like, it's was it the 16th or 19th? March 16th or 19th. Let's do it. Let's go to that game. I went to a lot of his games in New England when he was playing for the Revolution, and I will be there supporting him as a coach. So if you're interested, let's rock, let's roll. But again, if you appreciated today's conversation, regardless of platform, give us a love, a like. Let us know in the comments thoughts on the conversation. We're going to take a final break and come back. And remember, someone's going to win a prize. Well, be eligible to win a prize if you get the daily play we're talking about. I think this one's pretty difficult. So I don't know. If no one gets it within the time period, we might move on. All right? Stick with us. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
All right, welcome back. Thanks again to Khanos Smith. Again, if you appreciated that conversation this morning, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share these conversations with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Folks, here's what, I tell you all the time, we are so small. When I go somewhere, I've lived in the U.S. half of my life. When I go somewhere, the amount of places I go and they've never met a Bermudian, there's not many of us. When we get one of us in a space like this, we need to celebrate them, we need to support them, and we need to remind people, we may be small, but we punch above our weight. So congratulations again to Khano on his step. Thanks again to him. Again, if you appreciated the conversation, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. As Travel and Trotty said, he shared a lot of gems. A lot of gems. Mindset. He said it. He wasn't the most talented, but he had a discipline. If you've noticed the trend over the last few months, there are people on this show, they speak. It's not about motivation. You'll lose that. It's about discipline. Discipline. How many of us have it? Discipline will take you so much further than motivation. Thanks again to the BAC Group, Medical House, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring we can have these conversations with you on a daily basis. It is time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. Audience, are you ready? It's a Name That Place. Here we go. If someone gets this, I'm going to think you cheated. Here we go. Angel Falls, the tallest waterfall in the world, is located in which country? Wow. You got it, Shawnette Bell. Venezuela. It is not Nigeria, Mark Arthur C. Phillips. It is in South America, Traveling Trotty. It is not in the continent of Africa. Why so hard? She says Suzanne Ingham, not Zambia. It wasn't hard. Shawnette Bell got it. So Shawnette Bell goes into the draw with Nicole Hassel yesterday and Leslie White from Tuesday. You will be eligible for tomorrow's prize. But yes, it is Venezuela, Angel Falls, the tallest, or is it Angel? Falls, the tallest waterfall in the world, is located in Venezuela. So congratulations to you. All right, folks, I've got some daily inspiration for you before you head out. But let me just say this. We spoke about the what we can learn from the case of Chevelle Dylan Burgess earlier. And I just want to echo what the detective inspector Jason Smith said. We want to encourage people. If you're in an abusive situation, don't be afraid to speak up, come forward. We don't want any more cases before the courts like this. If you know someone in one of those situations, let's help get them out as well. As far as Khanos Smith, he dropped some gems, as I stated. He said a lot of helpful things to those aspiring to be in not just football spaces, but any professional space, to grow in things, right? It takes a mindset, a certain level of discipline, to grow beyond your environment, to achieve and accomplish things that you really want to. None of it is beyond us. None of it is beyond us. All right, here's your daily inspiration, folks. We've got Ozzie Davis. He says, like exercise strengthens the body, struggle strengthens the character. And that's Ozzie Davis with your quote, inspirational quote of the daily inspiration. All right, folks, it is that time to say goodbye for the day. Do not forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy, for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making this part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to this again with you tomorrow. I'm Jamal Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. I am is out. Peace.